Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with this edition of Trooper Talk. We have Officer McClarty here, and we're really glad that you're here.
Absolutely, I'm glad to be here.
This is the first time that we had a one-on-one.
This is my first solo mission, yes.
First solo mission. Let's talk about what's happening, okay? One of the things that we want to talk about is that when people are doing impaired driving, when people are doing speeding, when people are doing these type of activities, the end of that could be that they end up on parole, that they end up on probation. There are people that come here from out of state and obviously out of country that want to have a good time, and we encourage them to have a good time. But we have specific laws that are in place to make sure that people are safe. And so one of the things that you do when it comes to the parole and probation is to make sure that when someone has broken a law and ended up in an institution, or they didn't go in, that you make sure that they're guided on the right path after that, right?
Correct. And in lieu of prison time is probation, right? If they went to prison and then they had parole and then they get released to be placed on parole and supervised by us.
Oh, okay, okay.
And just to go back to like the DUI or impaired driving, like there's a lot that goes into that. Actually regular driving, there's a lot to go into that, right?
I agree with that.
And what we call like defensive driving, you have the ability to see your surroundings, adjust to the drivers that are next to you, adjust to the traffic, the construction, the amount of people, because Las Vegas is, a very, I would say like transient city where people are coming in left and right from all different countries, states to celebrate or to have fun. Our sporting events now, we have a lot going on. And when you're under the influence, you can't handle all that. And then you can't barely handle what's inside your vehicle alone. So to be able to adjust to those outside occurrences of traffic, being able to adjust to the amount of traffic, is out the window. So unfortunately, sometimes, that either, kills somebody or it doesn't and they crash and then they end up getting in trouble for, DUI, and they potentially get on probation with us. And then it's our job to supervise them and then hold them accountable for their court order conditions or parole board order conditions of, one, staying sober because they probably have an alcohol clause where they can't have alcohol due to the fact that they've been on probation or parole for a specific charge that had to do with alcohol or, DUI, DWI, or whatever it is. So we hold them accountable for those specific conditions, and then hopefully that behavior that they had is now deterred because they don't want to be on supervision again. They don't want to hurt somebody to include themselves or somebody else.
Yeah, and we see people that sometimes have that electronic monitoring where they have to stay at home. And so people think, oh, well, they have it easy. They have to stay at home and they can just, get messed up and do all these type of things. And, they have the electronic monitoring. And there are specific conditions that allow you to enter into their domicile to make sure that they're not doing these type of activities that would send them back to or they were on probation, right? And they would have to go back, right?
Yeah, potentially. If they're on probation and they violate their probation, they have the potential for us to, take them back to court. They're going to go see that sentencing judge, and then the judge, depending on their role on supervision or their history on supervision, they have the potential to actually serve that time that was suspended. So on probation, they have a suspended sentence that they could still serve if they do not successfully complete their probation.
And so what I was going to say is, so when we see people that commit these heinous crimes or like this vehicular manslaughter and these type of things, and they end up on years of probation, if they violate that probation, not guaranteed, but if they violate the probation, then they have the possibility of serving that entire term then
Yep.
or something, right?
Yep.
And that falls upon you, like saying you're not supposed to be doing these things.
Right, and that's part of our supervision, and that's what we do to deter that behavior. So with that electronic monitoring, there's a few types. Like there's like GPS, and then there's monitoring that monitors like sweat, so you can tell if somebody's been drinking. It monitors that amount.
Oh.
So if they had alcohol in their system, it notifies that device, which could be a
Oh.
violation.
And these are the things that people need to know so that
Yeah.
they stop doing these bad activities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then in the GPS and the electronic monitoring, it'll also give them like curfews too. So usually, depending on what their work schedule is, they're allowed a certain amount of time for work, a certain amount of time after work to be able to do grocery shopping, things like that, and then they have to be back at their residence.
And that's something that when it comes to the monitoring, that if there's a problem, that it sends an alert or something, and then that's where they have to figure out what the problem is.
Right, so it'll be like a timestamp if they're outside of their curfew, away from their electronic device that's at their home, because it's like a sensor. So it shows that they're outside of the borders of, their specific area.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so I also want to talk about the recruiting. We finished the recruiting video. We did the critical fill, right? We did the lateral move, and we're working on the next recruitment video. But the recruiting is very important to you. We need to get as many people at Nevada State Police as we possibly can. We need good, honest people that want to make a change for their community and that want positivity and that want to be part of the family. And so that's something that's very important for you.
Right, and it's not one specific area of somebody's expertise or career history that can get over here. So myself, I went to UNLV, I got a kinesiology degree, and now I'm a parole and probation officer and the full-time recruiter. So you never know the path you're going to take to get to where you want to be or you need to be. And I think this is where I want to be and this is where I need to be, just based off the feeling that I get from the job that I do. So even at UNLV yesterday at our career fair, I spoke to people that have a psychology major, criminal justice major, that they never even thought they would to actually get into law enforcement. They were thinking more civilian side, maybe a support role, but you never know the path you're going to take to get to where, potentially you can make an impact on your community, and that's what we need.
And the civilian side of the Nevada State Police is a tremendous opportunity for someone who doesn't want to specifically carry a firearm or have to deal with that end of the business, right? But they really believe in the mission, and so they can be a dispatcher, front office. There's a lot of different activities that someone can be a tremendous supporting role when it comes to the Nevada State Police. And the Nevada State Police is looking for both civilian and non-civilian, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're advertising our current role that's open right now, and it's dispatcher. And these support roles are part of the family still of our Nevada State Police umbrella. And if it's specific to you that you don't want to, maybe carry a firearm based on, your own personal experiences or something that you don't feel comfortable with, we have different roles that you can fit in and still be in a position that can help, the community members, law enforcement, something that has meaning to you, to where it gets you through the day saying, you know what, I actually made an impact today. I helped out these people. It's not just a one-time thing where you don't ever see that person again, which still happens, but you know that, hey, you know what, I made a positive influence on somebody and may have changed somebody's life for the better. So it's a great opportunity for you to have a little bit more fulfillment with your career.
Yeah, and when we had Whitney on here, for talking about the dispatch and how encouraging it was and things like this, it's really, really important. And so if someone is a dispatcher, they get the same benefits and all that type of stuff, of pensions and all this type of, right? Just as a person that would either work for Nevada, the parole and probation, or a trooper or anything like that, right?
Yeah, you still get the state retirement, state benefits. It's a great role for what we need, and we love them.
Yeah.
With everything, yeah.
And so one of the other things that we want to talk about is the fact of that the Battleborn Guardians are going to be doing a cornhole tournament. And so this organization is a tremendous organization that wants to go out and provide the best thing that it can for the community with no profitability for the organization, to make sure that they're always doing everything they can. And so the Battleborn Guardians, tremendous organization.
Right. So the Battleborn Guardians is an organization that we take donations, and then we use those donations to help our honor guard serve those that we have lost. And that's our main goal, is to be able to send our honor guard to support other state agencies here in the United States that may have lost an officer or trooper. So we can be there to show our support, because they come to us when we have lost our troopers, officers in the past. It shows their support for us, and we want to reciprocate that too. And what the Battleborn Guardians does is funds that to be able to support them.
And it's fantastic. And we're all part of the same family. We might just live in different states or different counties or anything like this, but the Nevada State Police is part of a state police family, versus a county police agency, right?
Right. There's only one of us in each state, so you're part of like a separate family. You're part of every family, whether it's a city, municipal, whatever it is. But the state agency is like a separate thing, right? There's only one of us. There's one CHP in California, one Washington State, right? One Florida State. So it's a little bit smaller, close-knit family.
And so we love it. And so Johnny's going to put up a picture of the cornhole tournament, so that we can make sure that we have people can go there and spend time, and it's a really great time for people to see people that work at the Nevada State Police that they want to go and just spend time with, not in a uniform and all this type of stuff, just going there with family and friends and just having a good time.
Yeah, who doesn't like celebrating or going out and with friends, and then meeting new people, and then playing cornhole. Right.
You're not in a thing that you're a tunnel that you're trying to be a spelunker.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
In a thing. All right, let's get to some pictures.
Okay.
Nevada Police Union and First Responders Task Force providing support and keepsakes to the families of our fallen heroes. So, the fallen heroes, someone that goes and risks their life every single day, and when they leave, they have the possibility of not ever coming home. And that they have taken that as their career choice. And every single time that they go and that they put that uniform on, there could be somebody who doesn't like you and who literally wants to hurt you. And so it's very important that we want to do everything we can to make sure that we never have fallen heroes, because we just want everyone to love. And so when I see this and I see the major there, and it brings me back to the promotion ceremonies and stuff like this, where the leadership from the top is there. And so it means something to them, and it means something to us. And so when it comes to pictures like this, it's just sort of heart-wrenching. It
is, and you kind of feel for them, because we're in a similar situation, but we're still around. So it's kind of hard to grasp, because we're not dealing with that specific situation. And then when we work, we all have families that are at home. So when we say Nevada State Police family, it's part of the family that we have at home too, which is here with Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate's family here. So showing them support that your loved ones may be gone, but you're still part of our family and we care about you.
Yeah, and when we went and we did with the Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate's family, we did the Heroes Run last week on Friday and Saturday. And you showed up back at the Southern Command, and everybody was there, and you can look into their eyes, and you just know that you just feel horrible, and so you just know that their husbands' lives didn't need to end on that day. If someone just did the right and responsible thing, then none of this would have happened. And now their lives are ruined. And that person, and again, we're not, he hasn't been convicted or anything like that, but if that person is convicted, then they end up on parole and parole or probation, depending on what the outcome of that case could be.
Right.
And so it's just devastating all the way around, because that person had a family too.
Right, and it's a selfish decision that somebody makes. You always have to think about, like, if I did this, what are the outcomes? What are the possible outcomes that can happen? Right, a crash, hurt myself. My family. If I were to make a decision, how would I hurt them? Somebody else's family. So there's a lot that goes into maybe you think is a simple decision. It's not that simple. It's pretty complicated, and a lot of outcomes can happen. So it's something to think about. Every time you get behind the wheel, go out with friends, what potentially can happen.
Yeah,
it's a lot of self-control that you got to, take a look at, the inside of you and, what can I be or what could I do better?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, I saw a news article today that these people were driving a car and they were speeding and they were racing, and one of the people, the car hit a pole, and one of the person ejected, and that person died, and but the two people that were racing, they didn't die. Who wants to live with that for the rest of their lives?
Right. For a few seconds of fun.
A few seconds of fun, or to go out and party, and you know what I mean? Spend $10 and take a ride share.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, or something like that. And I think that, and again, if somebody needs to, I'm sure that if they went to the bar or wherever they were and said, I need to get home and I don't feel good, I'm sure somebody would give them a ride. Or
well, absolutely.
Someway,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Most of the hotels here have, security services, and then they have like front services. So they actually have partnerships with, Lyft, taxi services, Uber, things like that. So it's just a question and then assistance to get you there.
For $10 or whatever it costs, this guy ruined these people's lives, and it's heart wrenching. And so, we appreciate them in every way that and what they're going through, and we just never want anybody to experience it ever again. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
we have the patches, right, Johnny? So they can go on to the IPOF.Vegas, and they can purchase the patches. The IPOF has extended the donations so that all the money for the patches, because I just ordered 1,000 more, they sold out immediately.
Oh, wow.
We gave hundreds to the troopers and all that stuff, but I ordered 1,000 more, and they should be here in a couple weeks. And the IPOF has extended so that all the money from the patches that we get in 10 days will be able to go to 100%.
So extended the deadline for purchasing. Okay.
It's 90 days.
Yeah.
And so that ended. And so as horrible as it is, and so now, but we wanted to make sure that because unfortunately the factories had closed down for the making of the patches. So. But anyway, so they can go on the IPOF.Vegas. They can purchase the patches, and 100% of the money goes to the family. And we're appreciative for the sacrifices that they have made and that they're going to make for the rest of their lives now too.
Right.
Right here. So this was the Running for Heroes, and so Johnny hooked up the GoPro on the back of the truck. And so we were in the front, and we were, and then there was a trooper behind us and a trooper in front of us, and you know, it's something that the troopers don't want to do. You know, and so it's just, we need to make sure that this never happens again. And so for a young girl to go out and run 1 mile in honor of Sergeant Abate and then Trooper Felix, it was very heart-wrenching as we were driving.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know, Johnny's son ran the second on the Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so and all the kids ran, and I think there was like, what did you say, 2 of them that got picked up by the van or something? Three. They tried to run, but they ran out of steam.
Yeah.
You know, they're little kids. You
That's
know
a
what I'm saying?
long time,
Run a mile. Johnny's son, he ran on the treadmill.
Oh, cool.
The 1 mile to make sure that he could actually run the 1 mile.
Oh, to test it out?
Yeah, to test it out. You know what I mean? And so, but it was very special, and you know, we appreciate the opportunity to always be there to help and to film and all that stuff. So, that's what I would say to you on that. Let's see this one. Special Olympics. Cover the cruiser. Okay. Special Olympics we sponsored. And we gave our booth to the Nevada Donor Network. And when it comes to the Nevada Donor Network, they're fantastic. And they do a lot of wonderful things. When it comes to the Nevada State Police and the things that you do, let's talk about something that you brought up yesterday, which is that you said you went to the career fair. So when you're at the career fair, sort of walk us through that. Like, do people come up to you? Like, what is an engaging conversation? Talk to us about that.
So we're a pretty specific position to apply for, right? So at a career fair, you have people that are either in school, and this one specific was open to the students at UNLV. So they're already in a career path as far as like a degree. So now they're looking for a specific job that they could potentially get after they graduate. So we're a specific position for somebody. So a lot of times what I've seen, you have people who just kind of walk by, and then you have people that walk up because they have an idea in their head, you know what, I want to be that. And what I mean by that is they want to be an officer, maybe they want to be a dispatcher, but they already had an idea potentially. So they come up, ask questions, you may possibly give us their information, and then we can shoot, an email, a phone call to them to say, why we might need you. And then you have the other ones where they have name tags, and I was saying this yesterday, I wish their degree was a little bit bolder font and their name was a little bit smaller. Because then you see them walk by, then you can kind of like, hey, flag them down. Be like, hey, I see that you're interested in criminal justice, psychology, sociology, something like that. Maybe I have something for you. So I was squinting at people. Not that I was giving them a dirty look. It was like, oh, what is that? Right. And then I would, walk up to them, be like, hey, I see that you're interested in, psychology. This is how I can relate to that.
Yeah, okay. And so when the person is engaging in the conversation and you tell them, listen, that, when it comes into the Nevada State Police family, so right out of college, they're a younger crowd. Mm-hmm. And so it could literally set them up for the rest of their lives. Because at that age, you could work for 25 or 28 years, right? And have a nice retirement and things like that.
And still be fairly young, too.
And be still fairly young, right?
And a lot of times you don't really think, when you're at a certain age, maybe right out of high school, even in high school, from what I remember, they don't really tell you or educate you on career fields outside of high school, right? You're learning about math, geometry, English. You have specific classes that are maybe electives that are a career field, but they don't really teach you about life,
right? And
what you really need as far as like medical, insurance, and things like that. So engaging in those conversations about retirement, maybe they never even thought about that.
Right.
Retirement is something where you need money because you're on a fixed income. or you're going to be retired, no longer working. So you need that incoming, paycheck.
Right. If somebody would say while you're 18 and you're in high school, listen, let me just tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Getting this job,
Yep.
you might love it, but it's going to be fantastic. And oh, by the way, work for 25 years and retire when you're 30, when you're 48 years old, and you still have all
Mhm.
this life left to do, and you can do whatever. It's very enticing.
Yeah, definitely.
And the thing is that the Nevada State Police is looking for good, qualified people, because let's face it, your job is not easy. It's not, oh, you're just walking over to somebody's house and you're just, knocking on their door and just talking to them. It's not your job. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to the troopers, they just don't drive around in a patrol car and give tickets to people. You know, I mean, there are real responsibilities that it's not for everyone. And so that's something that we want to express as well, because we don't want somebody going into the academy and then finding out after so many weeks or whatever it is that this isn't for them. And that's why we encourage the ride-alongs
Yep.
and things like that, right?
Right, and we have ride-alongs with Highway Patrol and Parole and Probation, so it gives those people a first-hand look of what a shift would look like if you actually did that job. And most jobs don't do that. Like, you see a position, you see the description, you're like, you know what, I think I could do that. I kind of like what they get paid. And then you do it for a little bit, and then you're like, you know what, I don't really like this job.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bounce around jobs. But those, like I just said, are jobs. Whereas us, like, we're a career. We're going to set you up for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then with us specifically, we have not just one specific career that you can do, right? You can be a highway patrol trooper to start off your career. After 2 years, you're eligible to transfer. Same with parole and probation. So we have different divisions that you can get into: fire marshal, Nevada Department of Investigation, so similar to detectives at other agencies, Capitol Police. We have different things that can extend your career so you don't get stagnant, so you don't get burnt out in a position. Whereas if you're working at the hotels, I enjoyed my time working on the Strip, but you kind of get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the monotony of the same thing every day. It might be different people, but it's kind of the same thing. And then you're like, you know what? I feel almost like a number. I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more fulfillment in a job. And then that's where you get a career with us. You get the meaningful, where you meet people like you that really appreciate what we do, and then you feed off that. And then now you want to make a positive impact on somebody else. And then if we were to go back one more slide, or maybe two, kind of lost track now, there was a bright light in a dark situation where, that little girl wanted to run a mile to dedicate it to somebody that was lost, right?
Uh-huh.
And that influence on them, they are going to influence somebody else. So that energy, positive energy that we're putting out there, we want to continue doing that with the people that we employ. We need that specific type of person that you were saying, highly qualified. We will train you to get you where we need you to be as far as being an officer, being safe. But we need the secret personality of you wanting to be better, wanting to make the community better. And that's like a big trait that we covet.
And one of the things that I also want to talk about is the age restriction.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have one.
As far as like a age limit.
Right, an
like
age
on
limit.
The
right.
higher end, right?
A higher end, right?
So just bare minimum, we can take you at 20 and a half. And what I mean by that is you can be 21 by the time you graduate the academy and get pinned on. We can take you at 20 and a half. Whereas other agencies, won't even talk to you until you're 21, unless you're in their Explorer program or something like that. But we can hire you, start you in the academy at 20 and a half. You're 21 by the time you get pinned on, and you're set up for another 20 plus years.
And the if someone, let's say that someone maybe has never fired a firearm, or they don't really know about firearms,
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that, but they believe in the mission, or you know what I mean, like in what you do, you can take a person and you can train a person so that they can feel comfortable. Like maybe there's a person that's a little bit older that maybe has never really done this career and they're in their 50s. You know, they did something when they were a lot younger. But you would take them and you would actually train them so that they're capable of doing the job, right?
Absolutely. And it's not part of the requirement to apply for this position to have firearms training. That's not part of the requirement.
Okay. So that's good because
Yep.
people think that, you know, I have to be an avid firearm person, or I have
Right.
to own
And-
1,000 guns or something.
And then
you know?
even education, the requirement is high school diploma, GED. 21 years of age by the time you get pinned on. No felonies, you know, fairly clean driving record. The education, we teach you that education. The education we need is, you know, laws and regulations of Nevada. And we teach you in the basic academy. And then the firearms basic academy. And then continuing out through your career through our yearly post training. So we get you to the standard that we need, and then we continue that standard throughout your career. So some might even say we might want you to have no experience so that we can get you with the right fundamentals, the right training to get you where the standard should be.
Right. And I was going to say, you know, Trooper Hagstrom isn't here today because he's in training.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what you do, it's not that they just send you out and say, okay, have a good career for 25 years or
Yep.
whatever. No, like you have to qualify and to use your firearm. You have to continue to go through these types of training and this type of thing throughout your career.
Yeah.
And so it's very important that the Nevada State Police is there to completely mentor you in every way, from having no experience to a very well-seasoned officer for 30 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? All right, let's see what else we got. Dedicated to serving and protecting. Kids. The kids are the future. And so we need to do everything that we can from the young age to talk to the young kids and the youth about the badge and what the badge means, and that the badge should not be a symbol of fear.
Right.
And so too many times, the children have the badge and they see the badge as a symbol of fear, and it should be a symbol of, if you need something, I'm here. And so when it comes to families and stuff like that, a lot of the troopers have, like we've discussed, have their own families.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be able to work and do your job in the best way. And when it comes to the family, you need to be able to have family life and trooper life, or parole and probation life. You know what I mean?
And then even, I believe Trooper Hagstrom went to a reading week. And then these are various events across the state. So we got a lieutenant here who's up north. That might be like a field day, it looks like. But the badge is supposed to be a symbol of like protection, like you said, right? Not intimidation. We are here for somebody that may need help, and we wear this uniform so we're identifiable for those situations where somebody needs help. And then most recently, we don't have a picture of it, but I went to my son's elementary school similar to this and did a career day.
Oh, tell us about that.
So,
what's that like?
I mean, it's fun. I've done it before, but just now it's my son's in kindergarten, so he's able to, they reached out, sent like a flyer home or something, and I was like, oh, sign me up. You know? One, so I could pick on my son in front of his all his friends. But, I got to experience, those kids and, what they see in an officer, and explain to them what this means to me in a positive way, right? I get to show them my handcuffs. I let them wear my sunglasses. And it's because they asked me, like, why do I have sunglasses? And I was like, well, the only reason, right? To look cool. And that's it. So I let them wear my sunglasses. So they got to take a picture and in my sunglasses and carry the handcuffs and things like that. And then I also arrested my son in front of the class too, just to show them like what it is. And then since he's so small, he just slipped right out of him. But it's just that fun interaction to show that we're not like, we may have a serious face just because I have, RBF or something, but it's more of like, we have to be aware of our surroundings and, turn it on and off during a conversation. Like here, very candid, very, smiley, because you're always trying to make me smile or something.
Right,
But
I do.
and vice versa. But we have to show the community that we're more than just what you see in the media in those negative views, right? We do a lot. And some of this stuff doesn't get put out, but like we're doing all these various events to show that, not just Nevada State Police, but the United States as a whole, we do a lot in the community to where it's bettering those around us.
And the Nevada State Police goes above and beyond in so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to juggle the fact of that there is a person that is there right now driving impaired that doesn't care. And so the balance between all of these different things, which is something that the Nevada State Police does and does so eloquently, is tremendous. And this is why we need to continue to talk to the youth so that we can have people that want to join. I always hear that someone that is part of the Nevada State Police family, that a officer meant something to them when they were growing up.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so they saw that officer and they said, this is what I want to do. Doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to some. And so if we can get to one, that means we can get to two. And if we can get that way, then these children are going to be driving soon. And so we don't want any of them not to go home to their family.
Right.
And so it's very, very important. And so when we see things like you go to your son's school for the career fair, it's tremendous because we want as many kids as we can to see positive role models. A father that's taking care of his children, you know what I mean? Like all those things that are very, very important. You know what I mean?
And not just the kids, like me as my job, I'm looking for that 10 years down the road, somebody will see me, out in the streets or at my job, and like, you know what? I need to go talk to him because you know what? I remember him 10 years ago and he said this to me and look where I'm at now. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the person, the kid that I go talk to at one of these schools. I'm looking for them when I get older. You know what? Oh, I knew that officer. I need to go talk to him. Look where I'm at now. Because of what I said or did, to make them make a good choice. I'm looking for that positive impact. Whether it's 1, whether it's 10, I'll take 1 because that's a win.
I one of my friends that I see, he works for the Clark County School District Police, and he says it's the most rewarding thing, just like what you talk about. He said kids come up to him like 10 years later that after they graduated or whatever, and they go, I just want to tell you, like when I had a problem, you talked to me. Like you weren't mean and nasty, you know what I'm saying? And so it's important, and people have a perception that if you're an officer that you're a mean person and that you're not approachable, and these type of things aren't the case.
I think that comes from the situations that we're put in, right? So we're in a situation where maybe we have to make an arrest. The word arrest is negative, right? Because we're taking away somebody's, livelihood in a way, right? That we're sending them to jail, sending them in front of a judge to answer to a wrong that they may have committed. So that situation in a whole is negative, right? But hopefully that situation that we put them in, they're like, wow, I don't want to do that again. Or maybe they're on supervision with us and we fight to try to give them the advice, the help that they may need to right their wrongs. And then later down the line, I hope I see one of them and you know what? They come up to me and say, hey, you know what? You set me right. Thank you for being that person that, told me straight. No, you didn't hold back any punches or anything in verbal manner, not physical manner, right? You told me what I needed to do to correct my life. You gave me the advice that I needed, and I didn't get it from anywhere else. Maybe they had a home that, didn't allow them to get that advice that they needed to set them straight, to get a career, get a job that's, going to help them, throughout their life. So we want to be, as parole and probation officers, highway patrol troopers, we want to be that, that a role model for somebody to hopefully, set them straight.
And I was thinking like a guiding force. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people every day complete probation, right?
Mm-hmm.
People every day get out of prison or get out of jail or whatever it is and go on parole and then get off of parole. So just because of the fact that you made a bad choice and that you ended up on some form of supervision, A, does not mean that you can't complete it and does not mean that you're a bad person. It just, and so this is very important as well, because there are people that get out that don't have that encouragement, and they look to people like you and they say, please just help me.
Right.
Like I really don't know where to turn, and I just need some help because, I want better for my life. And so it's very important. And so that's something, that as a parole and probation officer that you're able to provide.
Right. It might be one decision that you made that put you in this situation. Now you're on supervision, you committed a crime. But you got to look at it as one decision. And if you're, depending on your age, like you have a certain amount of time after that decision to never do that one again, and then make a lot more positive decisions to get you away from that one negative time that you had.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Too many people think of, well, they did something bad and then that's the end of it, and that's not the case. You may have done something bad, but if you remain positive, then, you know what I mean? You could be a good member of society.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That does good things.
And then it may be tougher because of the crime that you committed to get a certain type of job. But that doesn't, separate you from all these other jobs that will accept, that potential crime that you've had and have a great career doing something. There's a lot of places, specifically Las Vegas, that will hire you and you could still get, paid, good pension. You have a retirement, which those are both the same thing. But
Right.
You have like your initial pay and your retirement pension that you can get from those careers. You just have to be open to it. And that's us at Parole and Probation. Like, we specifically try to change that mindset where you just on a straight line of, I only want to do this. But you have all these other options. And then hopefully we give advice to be like, hey, I noticed that you're into this. Like, have you ever looked into that? And then I tie that back into the career fairs. You talk to somebody that's on psychology or sociology. I even talked to somebody that says social work on his name tag.
Because you never know.
Right. And I was drinking a water and I saw it and I'm like, hold up, I gotta flag this guy down. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry that I waved you down like that, but I saw your name tag and I needed to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because we might have an option for you. And that's the parole and probation side.
Because you have to have a way to be able to communicate with
Right.
people in your position.
And then people don't know, like, on trooper side and parole and probation side, we are people. And we are people, right? We talk to people.
Right.
So we take all forms of experience. And you might not think that degree can't relate, but we can relate that. Because we have a lot of different things that we do every day.
Right. And you have to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very important. And
Right.
so that's why I love these career fairs and, you know what I mean, things like this, because we just need to find one person. You know what I mean? Like you said, you never know where you're going to find them.
Absolutely.
But as long as they have good heart, then.
And I even when my off time, I don't stop recruiting sometimes, right? So I'll be getting Happy Meals for my kids, and then I'll have like great customer service, just the way they talk to you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
You ever thought about it?
I'm like blown away. I'm like, you might be only 18 now, but take my card. Maybe we have
Oh.
a civilian spot for you. You can start your state retirement now. And I don't mean to poach from a different agency or
Right.
company, but they got something. They got that pizzazz, they got that personality, and we can use that.
And I like the fact that you said 20 and a half.
Yeah.
Because 20 and a half means that somebody is, that means when they're out at 21, a 30-year career puts them at 51 years.
Yeah.
Tremendous pension, the whole spiel.
Right.
So, all right, so NevadaStatePolice.com, right?
NevadaStatePolice.com.
Let's see if we got this one. promotion of 2 Highway Patrol Division lieutenants and Nevada Highway Patrol's new Northern Command West Major Neil Roth. Well, you know, when you see the colonel and the lieutenant colonel and you see that these guys are doing so many things and that someone gets promoted to major, you know, I mean, these are tremendous promotions. And so what entails of running a command station and doing these type of things is something that the Nevada State Police trains you for throughout your entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the best things about the Nevada State Police is that everyone there really wants you to get to a better stage by a promotion, and they want to help you do that. And that's something that most agencies don't do.
And what I've seen in my short, 5+ years is the more that I want personally, the more somebody else is going to give. And that goes with our whole agency. The more you put yourself out there and want to, help out, the one next to you, on your left and right, the more the top wants to help come down, like the lieutenant colonel, he's always out at events. And then he's from Las Vegas, and this is, I believe, Northern Command, right? So he's going there to celebrate, 2 new lieutenants that are up there. So there's support all around, no matter where we're at in the state. So we're a small knit family, but covers long distances.
Yeah, and that's what I was just gonna say. You know what I mean? Like somebody could come down from Las Vegas and then go up there, or you know what I mean, and they can transfer around. And that's one of the benefits of working for somebody that has the whole entire state.
Yep.
When it comes to the Nevada State Police.
Right. You don't get just stuck in Las Vegas. You don't have to be in the metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Right. You can be like, well, I kind of want to buy some land. I want to move up to Elko. Hey, we got positions up there. Carson City, Reno.
And when you do that, like it's something of a self-fulfillment for you and your family and all these type of things, because all these things allow a person to grow, and the leadership, it's very special. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and each different area, you get different experiences that come into play when you promote. Especially even your past careers.
Yeah.
Comes into your position when you promote.
Well, and one of the things that was special when the little girl ran, the major wanted that on his phone. So he says, Johnny was over there filming, and he goes, Neil, can you grab my phone? Can you take a picture? And so it means something. It means something to them, and so it's just very, very special. So we congratulate him. Every time I see the colonel and I see all those stripes on his arm, I'm thinking like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's tough.
And so, but he still goes out there, right? He's still in a uniform. He still has a gun. He's still, it's really a tremendous career. And so I just love pictures like this. I greatly appreciate it. Okay?
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
All right, now we'll wave here. All right, see you later.